Did Liverpool get too much of a good thing this summer when they spent a record amount, what was it, £460 million on new players? Maybe they just dipped their hand into the candy jar 1, 2, 3, 4 too many times, and maybe this overhaul has really stalled them, and maybe now it's costing them in ways that they did not know about in maybe June, July, August. Let's take a dive into this and look at historically, maybe it's not all doom and gloom for Liverpool because they have just gone through what is kind of in the same vein of like a new takeover. The amount spent and the squad overhaul would suggest new manager, even new leadership at the club. They just delayed that. Liverpool delayed that by 1 year. So they said last summer, Klopp's gone, Edwards is back, Hughes is coming in. We're going to delay this big, giant overhaul for 1 year, and we're going to see what we can do next summer. But let's just take a year, let the dust settle, and then we do the big overhaul. And that's what they did. And so let's look at City. When City were taken over, it took them 4 years of big spending before they were able to win the Premier League. Now, that's a long time. I don't think that is going to happen with Liverpool because I think there was just a good foundation set maybe last season or last summer and just the core of players. I mean, City went from, relegation team almost to title contenders. That was the amount and level of spending that it took for them to do that. But it took them 4 years, and it took a lot of different things to have happen before they were able to win the Premier League for the first time. And that was an expensive takeover. We all know and remember how much they spent. We all know how many charges are up against them for that spending, and it didn't produce right away. Spending does not equal success. We know that very, very well from looking at Manchester United's last decade. We see that from Chelsea's last decade. You can't just spend and expect things to work out. And in some cases, and actually maybe the majority of cases, when you spend a lot, it makes things difficult. It's just a big overhaul like that makes things really, really challenging. So, number two, you look back at that Chelsea team. They didn't win right away either. It took them time to gel. It only took them a year after Roman Abramovich came in, spent a ton of money at the time, just a massive amount, and they really needed time to find that settled system and team chemistry. And obviously Mourinho had a very clear tactical plan when things were looking really good for them. Like there was a clear tactical plan. It was a very settled, controlled, defensive tightness. And they had the players to do that. And they had the tactical genius, the special one, if you will, to make that work. And it worked. But it didn't work in season one. And I think, again, you could almost look at the current Liverpool squad and Arne Slot and say, this is kind of like season one, because last season was just the runway to what is now the starting line. And they have a completely new squad. Half the squad was sold. So I think there's validity to that. Now, look at Liverpool in the past 30 years. Graeme Souness, big mistake. He admitted it himself. He tried to make too many changes too quickly, and everything fell apart. It fell apart for a very, very long time. Now, there were a lot of other issues at the club. It wasn't just about that. But when you try to do a massive overhaul like this, things are not going to work out perfectly in the following year. And I think it could take a year. It could take 2 years because you've still got two very ingrained players in Virgil van Dijk, Mo Salah, even Alisson Becker to some degree now. Liverpool have been playing without him quite a bit over the last couple of years. But you look at Van Dijk and Salah, and those guys are not going to be a part of this team for very much longer. So there's going to be another mini overhaul after this, and it's just going to take a lot of time. Now, finally, Manchester United, as we all know, they still haven't recovered from their big overhaul when David Moyes took over after Alex Ferguson and tried to do a big squad overhaul. He kind of got rid of a lot of the old guard, and it was disastrous, and it still is to this day. And I don't think that's going to happen with Liverpool, because I've got some good news. I've got a silver lining here. And that is Liverpool's leadership. The difference here is Liverpool have Edwards, Hughes, and we have a lot of world-class players a part of this squad. So I think the foundation is really healthy. I think the squad itself is full of talent. I think we just need time to let the dust settle, let these players get to know each other, let possibly Arne Slot, if he's the guy, let him try to weave some tactics through the core of this team and really put his stamp on it. You know what I'm really interested in, guys? I'm interested to see how this team performs when Mo Salah is gone to AFCON, because I still feel like there's just so much that's lost when he's on the pitch, when he's starting and playing 90 minutes. The difference between him and a Federico Chiesa, the amount of control, the amount of creativity, the amount of team play that we would be able to have. I really don't, I don't want to keep bringing up Mo Salah, but I feel like, back to what I was saying, the difference here, I don't think there's 30 years of difficulty ahead for Liverpool. I don't feel like there's 10 years. I feel like Liverpool are still in a really good place with a really good squad, and we just have to watch and wait and see if it's going to click. I think it will. Some point this season, I think it's going to click. I'm not saying we're going to win anything. We're definitely not going to win the Premier League, but I could see us nicking a FA Cup. I could see us possibly challenging for the Champions League when things maybe click in February. Maybe we'll peak at the right time, a la PSG last season. Anyways, that's what I've got, guys. Hopefully this gives you a little bit of hope, a little bit of insight to maybe what's going on with Liverpool. I'd love to know what you think. Get your comments in below. As always, up the Red.